Dear fathers and mothers, sons and brothers of humanity, I begin the year of 2060 giving the sequence to the historical and social guidance of the settlement and movements of humanity in the construction of the global human international order in our blue planet, the terrestrial universal states. I introduce to all of you in 2050 in YouTube the historical direction on this construction registered in the Bible and in the UN Charter and Treaties. This record points for the observer three steering axes related and independent in time and space, converging to this construction. 1. The movement of the Cultural Alliance Ancestral regarding the Earth occupation. His history in our culture has history of paradise, history of the Alliance for Salvation, the continuity and expansion of the human order, the establishment of the movements of culture of justice, of the human rights, today internationalized as the International State of Law created by UN. 3. The final direction of this state of law set up in 2050 under the title of Post-2050 Sustainable Development Agenda. So, consider the UN Charter, the scope of its power, and these three steering axes. I directed to UN leaders, the Vatican, the other religious structures of the people and nations, and their partners, a public request for them taking into consideration the realization of this action. The social settlement of our people and nations according to the United Nations Charter, the International State of Law, and the guidelines of the cultural traditions. For this settlement, I present here a proposal for the creation, the unity of the cultural authorities on the ordination and governance of the earth, the establishment of an alliance of the social and cultural traditions of peoples of earth on the social guidelines of the state of international law. Actually, this is what has been proposed by the United Nations, albeit in a generic way, in the post-2050 Sustainable Development Agenda. The central idea is to use this guideline as a direct action of social regulation of globalization on the settlement of identity formation, behavior, and social relations of humanity. In favor of this alliance and objective, I haven't proposed. The UN, Vatican State, and heads of other religions' cultural traditions initiate a cycle of conference under the joint auspice of the UN Spirit and the Spirit of Assisi with this function. A. Mediate when is called the post-2050 Sustainable Development Agenda for embrace the human justice and of the reign of God in harmony and life inside its cultural tradition or its scientific or religious orders. The construction of the social cultural unity of human beings in earth, and C. The degreening of the culture of earth in all its people, nations, and generations. The construction of an equilibrium and well-being in the planet sustainable by all its 7 billion of peoples and its generations. This means that in practice, this action specifies 1. The covenant of the leaders and cultural forces upon the legitimation and implementation of the social guidelines of life recorded in the state of international law, within the framework of the sacred books of humanity and inside the philosophical and the scientific laws. 2. The construction with the global culture, with the framework of UN, of a border structure, union, harmonization and implementation of these guidelines on the settlement of identity formation, behavior and social relation of humanity. This the direction for these actions. 1. The judgment of legitimation of the social doctrine of the international state of law by the Holy Spirit of the common faith, and the integration this doctrine into the holy books of humanity. 2. The integration of the cultural forces in building and democratic management of the international state of Earth in this millennium, under the establishment of the following structure in the UN: a World Council of the Cultural Traditions of Earth, attached to the UN Security Council, to be shared by the Pope as the highest representative of the religious authority in the planet and expert in humanity. Precisely that, a global cultural representation of the peoples and nations of the planet, formed by the main religion leaders of the cultural traditions. The constellation of experts in humanity represented in the United Nations system, today under the leadership of Pope Francis. Among the board's duties and powers, I emphasize here 4 of paramount importance for experts in humanity. 1. Gather and link the codes of ethics and customs of the different cultural structures in its field of action, with the limits and possibilities of the social guidelines of the international state of law. The social guidelines, democratically defined and upheld by the nations in the conventions, treaties and declarations of the UN and peoples. 2. Define the organization and systematization of cultural programs and actions in the world, with the United Nations systems on these objectives. A. Promote the construction of responsible citizens and sustainable societies. Peaceful and cohesive societies to a sustainable development with the justice of all. B. Assist peoples, peoples and nations to build and inhabit a world society upon sustainability, peace, love, friendship, dignity, and plans for the eradication of crime and marginalization in global human relations in development. C. Organize and guide the metaphysical dimension of human formation, its development and relations family for global sustainability. Turn on, development and operate the common principles of identity, family, reflection, respect, moral awareness, strength and welfare of mankind, built at all times, places and cultures to sustain and living its cultural unity. 3. Provide support and spiritual guidance to the unity of the military divisions of peoples and nations for the defense and security of the earth, freedom, welfare, and democracy, in favor of the balance of the civilizations, and against the spiral of violence or escalation of terror in planets. 4. Organize and systematize in the world demographics the unity and network orientation, management, transit, reflection, communication and development of this process of social organization on the planet. In fact, this century positively. The empowerment of Vatican Conference of Assisi, Rio Plus 20, and our United Nations Conference, and the conference protected the Earth dignity, humanity. The empowerment of UN to the realization of the objective of ensuring the orchestration of separate cultures, not into uniformity, but into unity in diversity, so that human beings are not imprisoned in the separate cultures, but can share in the riches of a single diversified world culture, and report of the Director General of UN. In addition, the empowerment of the following goals registered by Vatican and the UN. Said by Vatican, elevate the debate on the moral dimensions of protecting the environment in advance of the papal encyclical, to help a global movement across all religions for sustainable development and climate change. Said by the UN, transformation is our watchword. At this moment in time, we are called upon to lead and act with courage. We are called upon to embrace change in our society, change in the management of our economies, change in our relationships with our own and only planet. We have the know-how and the means to address this challenge, but we need urgent leadership and joint action now. In practical terms, this action is the basis for the establishment of the world citizenship of the human being and the establishment of the cultural unity of the earth. To confirm the current level of UN leadership in the world and the implementation of the Sustainable Development Agenda post-2050, the organization will need to consider and overcome this challenge. Without this, the organization cannot reaffirm faith in the dignity and the worth of human person and take the world forward to a sustainable future. Therefore, I finish here this video requesting for help and support of the members of the UN, GPI, NGOs, and of all those who decided to contribute to get to the General Secretariat and the UN Security Council this proposal. To all, my best regards. Thank you very much.